Good morning, people. Mike Martins here with the Mike Martins channel. Thanks for joining me, being part of the channel, liking and subscribing. Link below to last night's Mike of the Night. Wow, what a show. Lots of good call-ins. We're putting up our replays on Rumble because people want to watch Mike of the Night on television, on their televisions. No problem. All right, guys, what do I have to say for today? Well, I have quite a bit to say for today. Canada's truly hold hard going communist. Freezing bank accounts. There was this article that was written basically stating, and it was stated, that anyone that supported Donald Trump should be having their bank accounts frozen in Canada, or anyone that supported Donald Trump or supports Donald Trump should have their bank accounts frozen. You could look it up. The articles are up. They're there for the eye to see. But what I want to show is that this has been happening for years before the pandemic. Or the plan, whatever they want to call it, whatever they're calling it today. It's been happening years before, and governments can't account to it and have no way of accountability to what happened, right? So let's take a trip down on our channel on the time machine. This channel's been banned now for a while because it got another strike, so we're gonna hold off for a bit, and everything's been backed up to Odyssey anyway. So let's see what we could find here in our little time machine when we type in China across the channel. Is China to blame for Australia's housing crisis? Of course it is. China's economy contracts for the first time on record 1 year ago. Japan and America to close up shop in China. Let's see if we could find something with the good meat and potatoes here. Good meat and potatoes. Right here. China's $17 billion default. That's 2 years ago. Used condom repackaging racket busted in China. Police seized 500,000 boxes of counterfeit Durex condoms. Nice. Is China really communist? We know it is. Let's see what we got here in the time machine. China to launch digital currency. That's from a year ago. Australia versus China economic war. That's a year ago. Canada is now China. And I proved that in the video by explaining why we are China, even though we don't speak China. Well, a good chunk of our citizens do speak it, though. 83 tons of fake bars. China counterfeiting gold scandal. Let's see what we got in the China time machine here on our channel. These are all videos I've made over the years, folks. Mike of the Night, Hong Kong and Argentina. That was in 2 years ago during the year of the protest. Here we go. Canada wants more Chinese, 500,000 per year. Liberal government is making it easier for Chinese tourists and temporary workers to get visas to come into Canada. And then it goes into, that's 5 years ago, that China will own Canada by 2020. And it says here, this is just my opinion, but I think China will own most of Canada, or Canada will become an autonomous region of China. This free trade we have with China, Australia, and UK will be the end of these countries. Seattle needs more Chinese. Vancouver is now far more expensive, burdened by foreign buyers tax, and less growth potential. I see Seattle as the new Vancouver. We are seeing the same growth with Chinese investors. Chinese buyers in Metro Vancouver's housing market see nosedive. That's a year ago. Chinese to return to Australia. Let me see what else here. Chinese investors want refund on bad investment. Chinese housing wave tsunami to hit Toronto and Seattle 5 years ago. My opinion, yes, it has. The wave has hit. Hope you bought last year. Chinese money is leaving Vancouver and heading for Seattle and Toronto. Everyone in the middle class and working poor probably says gets wiped out. Trends in the housing market. Chinese housing development. China is at war with U.S. under Donald Trump becoming a practical reality 5 years ago. Toronto needs more Chinese investors. Canada needs to pick up its game in competing for wealthy Chinese investors and more money laundering if it wants to keep up with Vancouver, Sydney, Australia. And wow, Toronto is taking a plunge. So Toronto was really off its game when it came to advertising in China and making pamphlets and brochures in China. Chinese buyers are now looking for cheaper properties. Chinese investors buying cheaper properties. Goodbye middle class. 5 years ago. Chinese buyers of BC real estate are looking for cheaper properties. That means middle class families will be outbid. And that's what happened. Um, and then a year ago, Chinese buyers abandoned Australian property. And urgent, massive Chinese capital outflows 5 years ago. China suffers largest capital outflow. Now, why is China suffering a huge capital outflow? It's very important to understand that. It's what's happening in Canada. People are now trying to get their money out of Canada. I made a video 4 days ago discussing how there's going to be a capital flow on the monetary system in Canada because people will be withdrawing their money from Canadian banks. So this is very important. It's happening right now. Okay. Chinese entering the housing market in full force 5 years ago. Foreign investing going strong. Canada needs more Chinese to cure its economic woes. That was a year ago. So, Seattle housing crisis, Chinese buying dries up 3 years ago. I'm just trying to see if I could find anything to show that we were going communist way before. Chinese investors buying up Athens, Greece. Get ready for more Chinese. 3 years ago, the Chinese market in Vancouver has been a 20-plus year phenomena. Continued to unbated. Our country has surely become more Chinese than it is now. Chinese bank wars. This is an important one. This is why they pulled the trigger on the pandemic. Chinese bank wars. Repo skyrockets. Chinese to take over Seattle housing market. Amerifornia is coming. 4 years ago! 4 years ago! What? Chinese buy up Canadian gold mine. They bought a whole bunch of gold mines and lithium mines and coal mines and silver mines. Vancouver housing crisis. Chinese investors. We are told for ages foreign investors are not the problem. 5 years ago. China social credit score 1984. 3 years ago. Chinese buying up the USA. Amerifornia. Chinese citizens paying 30% over value on spot gold 2 years ago. Australia housing money laundering problem 4 years ago. Australia has the world's worst money laundering property market. More Chinese capitals leaving China and making its way to Australia than Canada, New Zealand, and England. What else? So this is proof to you guys that we've been selling out, that we have been selling out here to the Chicoms. Canada has betrayed its people. Now you're saying, well, Mike, are you racist? No. The problem is when you have people that have money, illegal money that they can't declare in their own country, and they need to take it offshore immediately. Where do they bring it? Well, they bring it to one of these English-speaking countries because they are competing for money launderers. In Canada, they call it money placement. Why do you think I knew Canada was going further into communism when 1 year ago Justin Trudeau shut down the money laundering investigation? There was 133,000 people of Chinese origin that were going to get arrested for the first 6 months of investigation. So here's the problem. Canada's been going communist way before this, way before JT, and it's been heading down that path for many years now because it has no other choice. It doesn't want to give people freedoms. It doesn't want to give people the right to life. When wages are not tied to housing, when your income isn't tied to what housing should be, then you're working for nothing because you could work. Okay, so then you're buying food. Well, you could work and buy food in Mexico. In Canada, you work, you're buying food. If you're a worker in Canada and you have a low 6-digit income, you're buying food. You're not getting into anything. So if wages were tied, if income was tied to housing and not money laundering, Canada would be in a different situation. We would have seen 2 housing corrections already. But our cities in English-speaking countries and blue states of America have turned into empty shells, and more and more and more people and middle class is suffering. Chinese gangs, it's the Chinese Communist Party is what it's doing. is producing fentanyl in their own country, importing it through the blue states in Canada, and reinvesting those profits into housing and impoverishing our middle class. You see, I'm at a point right now where it's like whatever. They're sending me notice of assessments. They're just constantly sending me notice of assessments. Now I've spoken to several people now. I've read in the comments more and more people in Canada are getting notice of assessments now, and they don't know why they owe a couple of grand. But everybody's going to be owing a couple of grand to keep this going, to keep the criminals going. Canada's been in a criminal state against its own people for so many years now. So I just wanted to kind of throw this video out there. I wanted to go through the channel time machine there for you guys so that I could show that you guys, that with the timestamps, that this was already happening before they pulled the trigger on the pandemic. Okay? 2019, the year of the protest. Don't forget that. Very important that you remember that, because that's going to be a very important key part of history to remember. Anyways, guys, I'm going to open my store here in a few minutes. Let me know what you guys think. Come and visit me here at 1928 Quilchena Avenue in downtown Merritt, British Columbia. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.